As you would have seen in yesterday's video, I messed up the stud wall. Now if you're wondering how I managed to do that, that is because the ceiling plate is a little bit offset than where it should be. In order to get that flush with then meeting down at the base of the bath is a little bit of a challenge. I mean, for some of you it won't be, but for me, I am not the most accurate with things. So this for me is going to be a really big challenge because I've got to make sure that this bath shower area is completely perfect. I mean, this wall is going to be 3 meters high. And I mentioned in the previous video that I'm thinking of doing large format tiles. And if you don't know really why that is a big deal, well, it makes your life miserable in some ways. The end look, in my opinion, is unbelievable because you don't have any grout lines. If you don't know what a grout line is, it is the gap between tiles, and therefore if you're putting a 1.5 meter by 60 centimeter tile on a wall in a brick fashion, you're going to have less grout lines than if you had 50 centimeter by 50 centimeter tiles. And when it comes to this sort of thing, tiles are completely each to their own. There is 1,000,001 different styles, things that you can do, but the best in my opinion is large format because you have to do less cleaning. And depending where you are in England, everyone's got different quality of water, and if you don't have any filters or anything set up, sometimes all of the minerals in the water when it splashes on the walls can cause quite a lot of issues. If you ever get limescale in your bathroom, the best thing you can buy is this product called Vical. It literally dissolves limescale, and I hate cleaning, but that stuff works incredibly. So top tip, buy Vical. Now, if you don't notice it in your bathroom, more than likely it's because you've got white tiles, and this is where I might have an issue because I'm thinking of getting super dark tiles because I want this tiny house to be like a pure Batman spec stealthed out RS6 looking house. The vision that I have in my head is the entire outside is going to be burnt cedar. And then within the house, obviously the natural thing to do is to make a space feel open and like there is more space than there actually is. You go for a sort of off-white colour. You never, ever paint your house pure white because otherwise it will look like a dentist surgery. You always go for an off-white. In the London project, we went for this sort of white cream magnolia, maybe? Was that it? I don't know. But in this house, I don't want it to be a house because this is my forever home. I don't want to make it in the normal fashion that my brother and me would build a house because obviously when you're developing, you're building for the mass market. You don't think in terms of what I like particularly, you think what does the public like? It's all averages. It's 80% of people like this colour, so let's go for that because when these 5 houses get built and you then have 80% of the people viewing the properties going, oh, I like that, in comparison to if I decided to go with green walls and blue cupboards, well, that might only be 15% of the population like that sort of thing. And therefore, when someone's viewing said house, they would go, my first thing I'm going to need to do if I buy this is take all this stuff out because I don't like that. And when it comes to developing, that is where a lot of people mess up seriously bad. They think that they are going to be living in the houses that they are building. And if you want to find out more about this whole world of developing, I am explaining it all to you perfectly in my weekly newsletter. I've put a link in the description. Click it, sign up now, or Google Have Some Vision Substack. And I do just want to say massive thank you to all the new subscribers. I'm really enjoying writing these weekly newsletters and I can't wait to see what this grows into. Newsletter number 5, the one where I show you a side hustle that I did at my day job and is a key aspect of how I was able to leave my day job. And remember, you will never make less than $1,000 doing it, and you've got unlimited upside because it's an actual business. It's not some BS thing. I did this for 10 years and now I have left a day job that I despised. And the best thing is I could do it at my desk, meaning that my colleagues had no idea that when I looked like I was working, doing my regular job working in finance, I was actually making more money outside of my day job. And remember, there is 0 startup costs, so there's literally no excuse. Just sign up and please just start. Remember, I failed school. I went back a year. The only secret to success and achieving your goals is work ethic and discipline and putting the time in. I promise you it will be worth it. But back to what I was saying about developing is you think in terms of the majority, whereas this tiny house, it's for me. So I'm going to try and make this tiny house into the most thought out, perfectly designed tiny house ever. And I've already been approached by people to build this for them. So it could become a thing that I package up my plans and then I sell it. And I could have Some Vision Tiny House 1, 2, 3 and 4, because remember, this is just the 1-bedroom iteration of this. I can build larger than what I'm building. And therefore the floor plan plan layout is kind of future-proofed because I can easily extend this to get to the full square meter that I might one day want. But for now, all I need is 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, a small kitchen, and a large living room. That is my priorities. And if you are new to the channel, you won't have heard me say this before. When I was designing this floor plan, the main thing I thought about was, where do I want to allocate the square meter? Where do I spend most of my time? And the truth is I do not spend more than 30 minutes in a kitchen. That's just a fact. You might spend more time, but for me, it's 30 minutes maximum. And the majority of time I'm there, it's just for the coffee machine. The main area that I use in a house is a living room, because I will either be sat on a sofa on my laptop or sat at a table on my laptop. And then in the evenings, it will be sat on a sofa watching TV. And therefore, because I spend a majority of my time in those rooms, that is the priority. I want the most square meter for that area. And also, one thing I've never properly understood is, sure, some people love having a really big bedroom with tons of space, but I've basically lived out of a Sainsbury's bag my entire life. I genuinely have no belongings. I have my car, I have mountain bikes, I have a snowboard and skis, all of which are at my friend's house. And then basically, do I have actually anything else but that? I don't think so. I think that's it. That's all I have. I don't buy things. I don't spend money on stuff that I don't need. And as you lot know, I'm quite cheap. And then on other areas, I won't be. Like, for example, I'm looking at buying an Army Tricks exhaust at the moment. It's weird. And do you say Akrapovich or do you say Akrapovich? Never understood how to properly say that. But because I don't own much stuff, it means that this tiny house doesn't need that much storage. I mean, I don't think you understand when I say that as it stands at the moment, I have a majority of my clothes in a suitcase and the rest of my belongings are in Sainsbury's bags. And the other thing, when I was designing this tiny house, is I was like, I don't actually care about the bedroom because it's not really a priority for the space, in my opinion. Instead, what I decided to do was add more of that space to the bathroom, and this bathroom is going to be incredible because I've got this shower bath idea, and then the position of the toilet I think is going to be really good, because when it comes to a bathroom, sinks and showers and baths look really nice, toilets always look ugly. Therefore, the way that I have laid out this bathroom kind of tucks the toilet area away from the rest of the bathroom, which I think is going to make it look a lot nicer. And if you haven't been to France or Italy, often what they have is a toilet and a sink in its own room, and then a shower and a sink in a separate room. Now, I'm not going to be doing that, but I've taken a lot of inspiration from an apartment that I rented in Geneva last year. Can't believe it's actually been a year since I left my day job, which is pretty insane. Time's flown by. And also, last Christmas was a mess. I ended up spending Christmas on my own, which sounds bad, but I actually quite enjoyed it. And then this Christmas, the same thing's going to happen because I'm working through Christmas, which, by the way, if you work in finance, work Christmas every year. You do absolutely nothing, and I've never seen it as a good use of using your annual leave. For you watching this right now, you'll be thinking, Chris, why don't you have the day off? Just relax and chill. I hear you, but because I've always worked through Christmas, it seems completely normal to me to work through it. It is crunch time now. I've got 11 days until it is the end of the year, and I have got to move into this place, and it is looking good. It's just not looking good at the same time. I'm pretty proud of how much I've managed to do, because I mean, getting the skylights in and all of that was a real challenge. And the one thing that I've really noticed since working inside the tiny house is it's actually surprisingly warm. Now, for sure, I haven't got any insulation in the walls, but because there is no airflow going through the tiny house anymore, the air is kind of trapped, and therefore with the triple glazed windows and then the insulation that is in the warm deck roof, it actually gets surprisingly warm in here, which is a great sign, because I need to figure out the heating situation before I move in, because I mean, if we have a -2 night, yeah, that's gonna be a nightmare. I could install the wood burner actually instead of sorting radiators and all of that stuff. It's becoming a mess. I'm struggling a lot. I have absolutely no problem admitting that. Working on the tiny house for like an hour every single morning is not really enough time, but no excuses. I just need to get to the tiny house earlier and all will be well. And if you're thinking, Chris, you're not going to be able to move in here by the new year, well, I have news for you. I have no alternative. I have to move in here. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and as always, I will see you tomorrow.